Sisters may look a lot alike, but do we think alike when it comes to food, family, and frugality? Hey, Robin, thanks for doing this.
This is going to be exciting.
All right, we're going to start with questions that were asked about our upbringing and how we were parented. Tracy wants to know, how did the way that we were parented, how did that impact our financial decisions as adults? So how would you describe the way finances were talked about in our home growing up?
They weren't.
That's right.
Actually, the only thing that my mom actually did is when we did get our first job, she opened a checking account and showed me how to do a check register, and I still do that to this day.
So really, finances were not, I don't think we ever felt, our parents never argued about money. We never ever heard that.
We didn't hear it at all.
No, so if they did, we
just
didn't hear
talk about it. So
we just didn't talk about it. So, I mean, I think as an adult, there came a point when I thought, I think I better figure this thing out. Really figuring out finances and figuring out frugality and budgeting, I think it was an on-the-go thing for both of us.
Yeah,
Robin moved out, let's see, were you 19 or 20?
I was 20. Yes.
20.
Yes, and I had no idea what, how to save for anything or put money aside for rent, and then you had groceries and different things that, pretty much our parents took care of, so we didn't have to worry about it.
So how did that experience impact how you dealt with those topics with your own boys? So we should say, for the record, she has 3 boys. Tell them how old your boys are.
My oldest is 32, and my second oldest is 30, and then my baby is 22, and he's still at home right now.
Okay, so the way that you had to figure this out on the go, it was like sink or swim. How did that experience impact how you dealt with finances when teaching your own boys about money?
Well, with my first 2, I didn't know a whole lot about it, so they didn't get a whole lot of learning of that. My second one does really great with it on his own, so because I think he saw us go through some struggling times, so that changed his way of thinking about it. But my last one, I actually took through the homeschooling Dave Ramsey thing for homeschoolers for teens, and that got him thinking about a lot of things that I wasn't taught. So I was glad that he was learning these things.
So it's like the school version of Financial Peace University.
That's right.
It's designed for teenagers, which actually is a really great program. In fact, when she got done with her copy, she sold the copy to me. So I have it to go through with my boys. Several people wanted to know, and I thought this was a very interesting question. What advice would we give to ourselves, let's say in our 30s and our 40s? If we could go back in time and say, hey, self, do this or don't do this, what would you tell yourself?
Well, one thing is I would have started saving a whole lot sooner for retirement, because if you don't, you're not going to have a retirement. You cannot rely on Social Security to take care of you. So that, and I probably would have started life insurance and some of the other insurances a lot earlier than I did, because life insurance just goes up with age. And if you don't start it soon enough, then, you're paying a very high premium for it.
One of the things that I thought when I saw this question was I would tell myself in my 30s to enjoy. I think that for those of you moms who are watching and you're in your 30s and maybe your early 40s and you still have kids at home, like younger kids, I would tell you, if I could go back in time, enjoy it. Because I think I should have slowed down and just really enjoyed the whole experience. Because, I mean, having young kids, it's let's just face it, it's frustrating.
You can't wait for them to grow up until they do.
Right. And then when they do, it's like, it's this really kind of, it's a very poignant thing to watch your children grow up. So I would tell you, if I could go back in time, really relax more, yell less, relax more. It's going to turn out okay, and enjoy those moments, and take photos. So if your toddler has emptied the 5-pound bag of flour all over the floor, please take photos before you clean it up, because you will look back and you will find those moments very joyful as you get older and your kids leave the nest. Okay, so more questions on our parenting. My son, now in his 20s, this is from Trendons, was from a young age much more economically smart than I am. Oh, I love that. And he now gives me very good advice from time to time. Trendons, that like rocks. Have your older kids given you advice, frugal tips that you as parents had never thought of that way before?
Not really, but he has, my middle one has done some very wise decisions. I mean, as far as his first house, his goal was to get it paid off in 5 years. I mean, I would have never thought about that. And he actually took a shorter loan than most people take, that 30-year loan.
Yeah.
I think he took 15.
And he was in what, his early to mid 20s?
He was early 20s because he got married pretty young. So, but I mean, and he's just, I don't know if he's just watched some of the struggles or what, or he's just kind of picked up on some things. But I'm very proud of him. So.
I think our children, our grown children, it's not so much financial advice they give me that is really sort of eye-opening. I tell you what is eye-opening. I have had them do this several times when I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to get XYZ. And they'll go, do you really need that? And, and it's almost like there is kind of that startling effect of having someone that you raised look at you and say, do you really need that? And they're not being unkind. They're just genuinely asking, is that something that is actually needed in your life? And it's made me stop and think many times about whether I am buying things just out of rote. You get tired, you get bored, you get whatever, and you're like, I'm just going to go buy something. And they have stopped me several times from actually purchasing something that I don't need. And here's the other thing that they have done that has just been brilliant. I would not call my grown sons minimalist, but they have less stuff than we do, and that's part of that is because they're still in their 20s, right? You do sort of accrue stuff as you get older in life. But part of it is because they really honestly want to see value in what they own. I think far more than I did at that age. And so when Larry and I are going through like possessions to sell them, either one of my older sons is brilliant, particularly my second son, John. He'll come over and literally he say, do you want it or do you not? You got to tell me, you got 10 seconds. And he's tough. It's like tough love. But he'll help me work through piles of stuff. And afterwards, I'm really happy that I have a pile of stuff to either get rid of or sell. But the whole process, doing that myself, I don't know if you have found that, but you tend to get very like whimsical and go, oh, they wore that when they were 2 and they don't care.
Right. I got rid of some of that stuff recent. So.
Okay. So Linda would like to know, I love this question, Linda. Do your children that live with you have cell phones? And if so, do you pay for the mobile data for them? What kind of cell phone plan do you have? And what kind of electronic devices do your kids have? Do you set limits on their usage? Now, part of this question is more applicable to me because really you just have grown children.
Right.
So, but for Malachi, so he does have a cell phone and it's through your plan. He does have a
cell phone and it's through our plan. And when we first got it, it seemed like it was just add an extra line and we paid $10 or something. Mm-hmm. And but now I think it's around 15. And this question actually made me think, Linda, that I haven't been charging him for that. $15. So
Linda, if you get a call or a text or a message from a young man named Malachi, he's thanking you for telling his mom she needed to charge him that $15. But truthfully, Malachi does still live at home, but he pays rent.
Yeah, he pays rent. He pays his car insurance. And he doesn't have a problem with doing that. I mean, I'm feeding him. I don't buy a snack each, though, if he wants snacks.
And we're going to talk about that in just a minute, because
Yes,
one
we
of
are.
you wanted advice about snacks. So really, my children, so you know, they don't get cell phones provided by us like ever. They just don't. My two youngest children, who are 13 and 16, they have cell phones. They were cell phones that were given to them. They are not hooked up to service, but they use voice over internet protocol. It's a free program that allows you to have a phone number associated with your cell phone. And if you are on Wi-Fi, you can make phone calls, you can send texts, you can receive texts, and you can surf the internet as long as you're on Wi-Fi. And you can do all of those things for absolutely free using this service. I will find the name of it. I'll leave a link for it in the description of the video in case you're interested in it. So like if our kids go to the library to study or something, they've got their phone and they can text me when they're ready for me to pick them up. So it's kind of a nice, if they're out with friends, all the rest of their friends have cell phones and they're really hooked up to service. Our children get actual cell phone service when they can pay for it themselves. All right. All right, Time Bunny, here you go. Here's the snack question. I would love tips on feeding a teenager who is always hungry. Time Bunny, they all are always hungry. That's the definition of teenager. That's right. And they're still hungry. That's the definition of teenager. But he loves junk food, or he or she loves junk food. That's maybe the problem. And you're on a tight budget. So, Robin, give your advice to Time Bunny.
Well, I don't buy his snacks, but when he's able to drive and he wants to get his own snacks, go for it. I mean, you know. But as far as buying snacks, I mean, I have stuff there for him to eat, but it's actually food.
There you go. Learn from the error of her ways. So that's her
right.
advice. Just don't buy him junk food. And look, if he's a teenager, he's probably old enough to go buy his own snacks if he wants snacks. So my kids know I provide popcorn. So every day, they don't even have to ask. They can go get the popcorn, get the air popper. They can make themselves a bowl of popcorn anytime they want during the day. I don't care, because we buy popcorn in great big huge bags. But that's really literally the only snack that we provide that's actually snack food. We usually have fruit, we have cut up vegetables, things like that. So if they want it, there is a snack available, but it's real food. All right, let's move on to some questions about frugality. All right, so people want to know how we're alike and how we're not so much alike when it comes to being frugal. Robin, have you had a great big goal? This is a great question because she just reached a great big goal, y'all. All right, that she successfully saved for. All right, what's your great big goal? You guys are getting ready to go on a great big trip.
Yes, a trip. We're going on a trip next week, and we've been talking about this trip since my oldest two were young, and we're actually able to do it since we've been smart with our money. So my son's flying in from California actually to go, so we're going to Tampa, Florida, and we're going on deep sea fishing. Now I know I'm vegan now, so don't shame me.
She's
but
catching the fish, but she ain't eating them, guys.
I'm not eating them. So this has just been something we've talked about, and I mean, everybody's excited about going because he has talked about this forever. So
All right. So Ash wants to know, what do you do differently than me financially? And I love this question. Ash also wants to know, what's the weirdest thing each of you thinks the other does financially? Okay. So so in some ways we're very much the same. We really don't like spending money.
No,
We've
I
never
don't.
been shoppers, even when so y'all know, we shared a bedroom until she moved out when she was 20.
Right.
And we actually shared a bed until we were in high school. We had a double
Right,
bed. We
yeah.
shared it until I think I was about, 14 or 15. And then they actually got us separate beds. But we shared a room until she moved out. So we actually were privy to one another's like personal habits and stuff pretty frequently. And neither one of us was a clothes hog. And neither one of us like really shopped a lot. I can't recall us ever. We went out to the mall with friends, but we went out and hung out and looked at boys. We didn't buy clothes. We didn't buy a lot of stuff because we didn't have a whole lot of money. So in that way, we're the same. But I think as adults, this is a great question. One of the things that I have noticed about Robin, and I do love this about her, she has always been willing to invest more fully in things that, first of all, she's like, you know what? I know this is a little bit of money, but it's important to me. And she's always been willing to say, not only am I willing to spend the money, you're willing to figure out where you're going to get the money from.
Right, right.
Far more than me. I would like deprive myself, where she's like, you know what? Money may be tight, but this is important and I'm getting it. It could be like, hair care products like vitamin E to put on the bottom of your hair, or lotions.
Or skin stuff, to try to make me not look as old as I am.
And so she was always willing. She's like, you know what? Yeah, I know this is a little bit of money, but I'm doing it because it's important to me. So, and I respect that. And it's actually been really helpful for me to remember it's okay to spend some money on myself. So I think that is what, as far as I am concerned, we do differently, but I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, self-care is health-care.
There you go. I love it. You guys, that should be a quote. We should make like banners that say that self-care is health-care. I love it. Okay, and I don't think any of us thinks that the either one does something weird.
No,
we really were like, different, yes, weird, no.
We're pretty much alike. We
Yeah, we like, if we use something isn't a baggie and the baggie ain't dirty, we're gonna wash it out. And
yep, and we didn't even discuss that, but we both do it. So,
all right, Joyce, I thought this was a wonderful question too. How do you deal with frugality burnout? So y'all know, like, she's been through some tough times financially. It's not been all roses for her. And oftentimes, so her husband is a salesman, and so their income has been
up and down,
far more than mine has. We may not have made much money, but it was steady, and hers has not been. And so I think that experience that she has had, it just brings a lot of really interesting things to the table. So you did feel burnout, like a lot.
Oh, yeah, especially, when I didn't know if there'd be enough money to do stuff, so I had to start cutting corners and that type of stuff. And there's been times when I've wanted to just give up and just, I don't know, run away.
Well, yeah, we all do feel that way.
Yeah.
So what did you do to combat that? You're like, I'm done here.
I had to go over the reason why I'm doing this. I had to look at my goals again and just get that fire back, that I first had when I started doing this. I'm going to do this, and this is how we're going to do it. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. So that's how I dealt with it.
And she always found a way to do it. Guys, this woman has a will of iron. She's very strong-willed, and I think it's done her very well as an adult to say, yeah, this might look not doable, but we're going to figure it out. And she did everything she could to figure out how they were going to reach the next goal, because oftentimes I think it didn't look real doable. And I think Paul was more willing to say, we just can't do this. And you're like, oh, yes, we are.
Yep. I mean, sometimes you'd think, well, we don't have money to do that, so we got to do something else. I said, don't worry, I got it saved up.
There you go. Oh,
You just
so
didn't
she
know.
was a saver. Tell us in the
very much
comments,
a
do you
saver.
save money? And it's not that you were hiding money from him.
No.
You have been the one, just like I have been the one that like keeps the books.
Yeah.
She kept the books and knew
Numbers.
exactly how much. She could see the goals coming up, and she would set the money aside. So when Paul was like, I'm sorry, we just can't do that, she's like, well, surprise, we can. All right, so Marianne, is one of us a clothing minimalist? If you're the minimalist, raise your hand. My hand is not up, guys.
Yeah.
You need to see a need for everything in your wardrobe. So you do KonMari.
Kamari, yeah. Yeah. I can't even remember how I first found out about it, but once I did, I piled all my clothes on my bed and started looking through each piece and said, does it bring joy?
How many bags did you give away? You can tell. It's okay.
8 bags of
Big
clothes.
bags.
And I had no idea I had that many clothes until you pile them up on your bed, pull them out of your dresser, take them out of the closet, and under your bed, wherever they are, and yeah, it was a lot.
So she came over to my house, you guys, and she goes, "Hey, I just did this really great thing. You should do it." So we started taking all my stuff out of drawers, and I said, "This is too hard. We ain't gonna do it." And I actually did it, but you know what? I gotta say, like, it was very manageable for a short time, and then, I mean, it's a train right now. It is. I am not a clothing minimalist, but I need to be more. I think my weight's been a little up and down, and so I'm like, oh, I might need that. So I need to decide I'm not going to need it. Okay, final question on our frugality. Who started living a frugal lifestyle first? And if one of you inspired the other, if you have any other siblings to live similarly. Okay, so who was first?
You were.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
I was. So did I inspire you?
Yes, and definitely I watch every video that you make now. So, but I mean,
You guys, she's a super fan.
Yes, I'm a super fan.
So yeah, I think definitely she found some inspiration when we started really buckling down and living frugally. She's like, I think we should be doing this a little more.
Yep, I said I could either be jealous or join in. So,
But if I can chime in, Robin bought the first car with cash before us, and I was impressed with that.
Okay, so says Larry behind the camera. All right. Did you homeschool your kids, and have we ever vacationed together? That's what Carol wants to know. You did homeschool your children.
Yes, I homeschooled all three of them. My oldest, he had a little bit difficulty with certain subjects, so it was a perfect fit for him because he could, actually advance in math where I had to work with reading with him. So, and then we moved to an undesirable part of town where I wouldn't have dared sent my kids to public school. So, it kind of was what I did. And then my third one, we were in a good neighborhood and stuff, and I asked him if he wanted to go, and he chose not to. So
There you go.
Yep.
And we also, by the way, have given our kids an option when they've gotten to high school level. We've had the conversation, is public school anything that you are even remotely interested in? Do you want to check it out? And all of our children have said that they were not interested in attending public school. So we did homeschool them all through high school. And we're finishing up with the last two. We have not vacationed together, Carol, but your question gave us like a super good idea. We think we should. We think that we should go on a trip together. I think like Nashville is like literally, I think, halfway between our two houses. I think it's about...
It's about 2 hours from me. So
it's a little farther than that from me. So yeah, we think she's 10 hours south. So we think we should pick a nice halfway point and we should have a girls' vacation. You know what I'm saying, everybody? Like just the girls.
Yeah, we could go to Paducah. That's about halfway.
There you go. Okay, so if you live in Paducah, tell us what there is to do in Paducah because we may be headed your direction one of these days. All right, so those were the questions on our upbringing, our parenting, and our frugality. And now, several of you wanted to know about why we became vegan. So, Judith would like to know, is it expensive to be vegan? Robin?
Absolutely not. I mean, beans are $1 a pound. I mean, you can't get any cheaper than that. And it makes, what, 7 cups?
7 cups,
of beans?
1 pound of dried beans cooks into 7 cups of cooked beans. So that's the equivalent of about 2.5 cans.
Oh, no,
3
more than
cans,
that.
about 3 cans.
About 4 cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so really, I mean, rice and beans are cheap, y'all. So being vegan. Now, can it be expensive? Yes. If you're buying a lot of like prepared foods, it can be very expensive.
Yep.
But if you're buying just, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and beans, not expensive at all. No. Just buy raw ingredients. Now, is there a special reason you went vegan? So I went vegan first, for those who want to know. I became vegan first, and then...
And then I did. After watching the movie Forks Over Knives, and our dad died of a massive heart attack at 47 years old, and I had just turned 50. So, so I've been vegan about it was 8 years in January is when I started. And it was cold turkey. I mean, it wasn't this gradual thing for me because I'm kind of an all and everything person.
Yeah, she's like, she called me, she goes, okay, I'm in. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I'm doing this thing. And boy, she did it, and she never looked back. There's that will of iron, you guys, that really came through for her. And Judith's final question is, did you notice any different in your overall health, Robin?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my blood pressure was slightly elevated at that time. I'm sure it probably would have been high now. And I had arthritis starting up in my hands, and it totally is gone. And what else? Oh, and my cholesterol, I took it before and then I took it later, and it's so much better because my LDL started out at 101, and I think it's below 75 for sure. It's probably lower than that. So
Yeah, so she lost, for the record, like 50
pounds. Yeah, I was started out around 170, which wasn't my top weight, but that's when I started. I think my top weight ever was 180, and so I got down a lot less than that. So
Okay, so Donna would like to know, do we find that being vegan helps reduce our grocery bills? Yes.
oh
Absolutely.
yeah, oh yes.
Now, and she wants to know if we buy convenience vegan food. No. I mean, you know, I think if I find like a super good deal on like sausages or maybe burgers occasionally, I mean, it'd have to be a really good deal. I'll buy them, but I don't eat them. I keep them for the kids.
Yeah, I do it at Thanksgiving. I've always made the vegans like the sausage and stuff, and I made homemade biscuits and stuff like that. It's kind of a special thing I do once a year, though. It's nothing that's like all the time.
So Becky wants to know, she feels like she always feels hungry. Like if she's not eating meat, she is hungry. And did you experience this in the beginning?
I probably did. I mean, I just ate more food because you need a whole lot more food, and I like to eat. So it's a win-win.
Okay, and this is another question I thought was the perfect question for Robin. Sandra wants to know, have you ever had a garden, and do you do canning? And where do we find most of our recipes? So garden and canning.
I have. My first husband, he tended the garden, and of course I helped pick weeds and all that, but he got it ready. And one year he decided to plant 6 tomato plants. I have never seen tomatoes produce so many tomatoes. And then
You were that lady dropping
my.
off baskets on your neighbor's doorstep when they
Yes.
weren't looking.
yeah, so I have canned. I did the canning, and I also dehydrated the tomatoes to make, and then ground them up to make into a powder, and made, add a little water to it, and you make tomato paste for your pizzas and all kinds of stuff. You can flavor soups. I mean, it's really good. And we had a basement, so I kept all them jars down there and made pickles, made a lot of stuff.
They were beautiful. Oh my gosh. You walked in her basement and there was just row after row of these beautiful, like canned and dehydrated vegetables. It was lovely to look at. I'm like, wow, I just want to sit in your basement. It feels therapeutic to me just to sit next to all these beautiful jars. So yes, you've done it. Me, not so much. Guys, somebody needs to just pray that I receive. If there is a gift of growing things, I need to receive it. Because if it could be like a spiritual gift, I'd be so down on receiving that, because I try. I did herbs last year, okay? Mm-hmm. I had an herb garden last year out back, and it did very, very well. I don't, there must be a knack to it, so I don't know. All right, do we have friends that aren't vegan, and what do we do when we go over to friends' houses and they ain't serving vegan?
Well, I offer to take something, or I tell them I'm taking something. and because a lot of times they want to, they don't want you to bring anything, but I'm sure they're not going to say, no, you can't. So, but, and a lot of times I do pre-eat. I will definitely pre-eat, because you don't want to go over there starving and they have nothing, because let me tell you, you'll get into that food.
If it's there, if it's
If
frozen,
it's
you're
there,
gonna eat it.
I will eat it.
Yep.
Yep.
So pre-eat, and always be that lady that says, "Let me bring the salad."
Yep.
Where do we find our favorite vegan recipes?
Well, there's several. My first website was Forks Over Knives, because I'd watched the movie, so I got a lot of my recipes from there. And actually, in Forks Over Knives, there was another guy that was featured from the Engine 2 diet, so I went there. Now I've kind of graduated to some cookbooks and online recipes, but mostly I eat so simple now, I don't need a recipe.
Guys, we are going to leave in the description of the video, we're going to leave Robin's recommended list for cookbooks, okay? And so look in the description of the video, and we're going to have her recommendations, and we'll have links for you to follow right to Amazon that will help you find her favorite cookbooks, all right? Because every time she comes, she brings a stack of cookbooks for us to go through. All right, Beth's Roadmap to Happiness and Financial Freedom. And I love your name, Beth. She would like to know, what keeps you inspired to keep living a vegan lifestyle? Because, I mean, on the surface, this looks kind of a hard thing to do, right? Because really, you're going against the grain of society. Because let's face it, most of us are not vegan. So, Beth, I really like this question, because it's asking, you know, the tenacity that it takes to continue eating vegan even when it ain't the most popular thing in the world to do.
Yep. And mine is, you have to have a why. You have to have a strong enough why. And I say it's the why that makes you cry. And just going through what we went through as kids, I mean, losing our father so young. I mean, I'm the oldest, so I was 19, and you were 17, almost 18, and then came along my brother. But what hits me the most is my little brother was only 8. So, and my mom was 42 years old and widowed. So that is a pretty good why, because I have kids. I have 2 grandkids, and I don't want to leave them too soon. Bottom line.
That's a great why. Hey guys, we so appreciated you sending in all the questions that you wanted to know answers from. How are we the same and how are we different when it comes to family, food, and frugality? This has been super fun. Thanks for coming on.
It was fun.
Hey guys, give her some love, will ya? Give her love in the comments section. Give this video a thumbs up and let her know how much you appreciate her coming on the program and sharing with you all while she was visiting from Alabama. And be sure to join us on Friday for a Frugal Friday.